This is an RCA TR-70C. There's been a lot of quad material on YouTube lately, so I thought that I would do a little bit on an RCA quad, as I saw a comment on one of them that said, well, how come there's no RCA quads on YouTube? Well, here is one. This particular machine came from WGTV in Athens, Georgia. It was on the campus at the University of Georgia there at a PBS station. They bought it new, and it was there until 1983 when the studio was moved from Athens to Atlanta. They closed the studio down there and put this machine and 3 other TR-70s in storage. So this machine has been sitting in storage unpowered since 1983. I picked it up April 7th of this year, brought it back here, and been working on it mostly ever since. But after about a week, it came back to life. It took a lot of electrolytic capacitors and resistors and a few transistors here and there, but amazingly it is up and running and alive and well. But on this first installment, I'm just going to go over some of the features of RCA TR-70s for people who perhaps have never seen an RCA quad. I know they were definitely second in sales to Ampex, and many people who were around and worked with Ampex quads back in the day may not have ever seen one. So this first installment will point out some of the features of this TR-70. This one is a TR-70C model, the last incarnation built. The main difference in the TR-70C from the previous ones is the infamous or famous, either one, digital servo. Works in a drawer here. And this servo in this machine is completely different architecture and construction style to previous RCA servos. It pulls out here in a drawer. This whole drawer is the servo, head wheel and the capstan servo. Another part of this servo system is a low mass DC driven capstan motor. This is what really makes it, because the capstan motor can respond very quickly to input variations and tracking, and makes this machine lock up very, very fast, much faster than the previous incarnation of RCA quads. A couple of seconds usually. We'll start down here at the bottom and work up. This cover comes off. This cover contains the air filter elements. They're washable, and you spray them down with stuff called filter coat, and that traps all the small dust particles that are sucked in. Over here on the left are the big linear power supplies. None of that sissy switching stuff in here. This is all big iron, big transformers, big transistors, and big poundage. This machine weighs about 1,800 pounds. And I should know. I've moved enough of them over the years. This module here is the voltage regulator for the power supplies. We've got adjustments here on the front, all these test points. And over here is the vacuum pump for the guide, the tape guide on the head wheel assembly. And just above the lower bay, of course we're back to the digital servo here, the lower row of modules is basically a servo, a race, and the KVEC dropout compensator, the ATC, and the color ATC. The row of modules above that, starting on the left, there is the splice module, the edit control essentially, and there is a microphone module with this little RCA lavalier mic. Next up is the guide servo. This is a pretty cool module. In record, you can set it so that when the machine goes into record, the guide goes to a fixed standard position. That is a setup with a test jig. It's a mechanical setting. Or you can flip the switch here and go to variable, and the guide position in record only is controlled by this pot here, and you can put a test tape up there and adjust this to match that, or whatever standard you want to do if you don't want to do a standard recording. And the same situation in playback. In any play mode, you can go to the fixed guide position, once again the one that's mechanically set with the test jig, Or you can go to automatic, which is pretty much as it says. It detects the errors and minimizes them by moving the guide in or out. And then you can go to manual, which is pretty self-explanatory. There's a manual guide control up on the play control panel. These are the record amps. The 70C has solid-state record amps. I have a 70A that I've had for many, many years. The early ones, the first ones, had tube record amps. I guess tubes were a little better at linearity and whatnot in the early days of solid state. Next up are the playback amplifiers. That's your equalization here. And you can also tune the resonance out of each individual head on each head wheel assembly. It has a built-in sweep generator. Above here is the multimeter switcher. Another cool troubleshooting feature on TR-70s is the ability to monitor all of the power supply voltages on a meter. And you can select which power supply you monitor with these buttons. You can also look at the head motor drive current. You can look at the capstan drive current, race currents. You can do about anything down here as far as troubleshooting. It's very handy. This center part is the FM test panel. This is where you initiate such tests as that head sweep generator test I was talking about a little bit earlier. You can also use it to set the carrier frequency. Just various test modes. On the left side of the machine are controls basically concerned with recording. I really like the way they lay these things out. They've got it organized pretty well. Over here you've got the master record. You've got setup, which is everything goes into record except there is no tape motion. And you've got your input, audio and video input level adjustments, and you've got your editor control. On the right-hand side of the machine, the corresponding right, is the playback side. Over here you've got play, you've got wind, shuttle, you've got standby. Just below that you have all of the playback level controls. You've got audio level for both cue and program. You've got video, chroma, pedestal, that sort of thing, all neatly grouped over here in this group. Going back just above the transport of the machine on the left side are the warning indicators. These tell you a myriad of things. Any sort of non-standard, any sort of mode that would generate a non-standard recording or some sort of fault will light up one of these indicators, tell you what it is, and also initiate, if it's a serious one, will initiate the center light, the center warning light, which flashes and has a son alert that is very hard to ignore. You can hear it probably a block away. And in the center, below the picture monitor, you have the mode switches. You've got tape speed, you have local and remote, you've got high band, low band, that sort of thing. Continuing further right, you have the waveform monitor input switcher, and you can select all the usual video sources, the input through the machine, the various units in the machine, all the way to the output, and then you can select the various test waveforms that are used for setting up and operating the machine. Above that, this machine has its original Tektronix 529 waveform monitor with the distinctive RCA blue front panel. That's how you can tell it's an original one. And in the center, you've got the Conrack black and white, fully transistorized, by the way, picture monitor. Here on the transport, we have the tape guide, a roller tape guide here on the left. We have the backside erase stack, and of course then we have the head wheel assembly, and the audio stack with the erase, record play, and record play monitor heads here, the capstan and the pinch roller. This particular machine has an aftermarket Recordtech tape timer unit on here, which is actually pretty nice. The RCA mechanical one is a bit primitive. So that's pretty much it. A quick tour of this RCA TR-70C, awakened after a 26-year nap. In the next installment, when I get around to recording it, I'll go through the operation, set up an operation, and we'll play back a tape on it. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.